Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna devotees. Again, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class on this very auspicious day in the disciples. These days also mixed with a tinge of separation and sorrow. Although we know that great Vaishnavas, when they depart this world, they go back home, back to Godhead, or wherever Krishna wants them, really. But at the same time, this separation times is unbearable. I remember once a spiritual master was given a class, 2014, and he was quoting His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, just about to leave the body. And he was saying, there's no problem about death. I'm paraphrasing, but there's no problem about death. To give up the body is not a problem. The problem is the separation with Vaishnavas. That's the problem. So that's very difficult. That separation with Vaishnavas, with whom we perform devotional service, this is a true attachment, and that's why, because it's true and genuine, it's very difficult to go through this separation process. So I remember His Holiness Niranjana, he remembered exactly the moment when he got the news when Srila Prabhupada left the body. He was, whatever he was doing, but he's saying that this is such a deep samskar that he says, whoever I spoke to, in terms of his godbrothers and godsisters, they all remember that moment when they received news. Some of them, of course, were present in Vrindavan, so for them that's the moment, but for many who were elsewhere doing various services for Srila Prabhupada. So when everybody received that news, it's like a thunderbolt struck them, and of course, I know for many, they just collapsed crying and, having that intense separation that they were going through. Because it's, especially with Srila Prabhupada, when such acharya leaves the body, the followers to continue his mission and etc. So that this is very, very difficult. Anyway, today we are exposed to another verse where Srila Prabhupada explains about how people, in other words, those who are attached to the fruits of their labor, which is pretty much the whole society, although in true sense, this is actually a complement to nowadays society, because at least they were following some regulations and principles described in Vedas. Today's society doesn't follow anything. At the same time, they are attached to their fruits of labor, and so we have a complete chaos society. And to that society, Srila Prabhupada is preaching. Now today, because it's Tirubhava Mahotsava, Srila Prabhupada left this planet, we would like to touch upon not only his pastimes, but also the gifts that Srila Prabhupada left to all of us. One of them is, of course, Srimad Bhagavatam. But I would like to first make a parallel to previous acharyas, so you can understand how Srila Prabhupada was chosen to perform this great mission of distribution of love of Godhead, and how he is non-different in terms of greatness to the previous acharyas in our disciplic succession, such as Narottam Das Thakur and his spiritual masters like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So the mystery and the potency of Guru Parampara is extraordinary, and if you think of Narottam Das Thakur, for example, this world, and many of his associates, and as we are discussing today, this mood of separation, were not able to tolerate the separation, so one after the other, they will live in the bodies also. So pretty much all Panchatattva left, and when Narottam Das Thakur appeared in this world, that was like 50 years since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this planet. So when he found out in taking the bath, when the spirit of devotion that the intense love of Godhead, the pure love of Godhead, unalloyed devotional service, was left as a gift by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the water of Padmavati, and that devotion entered Narottam Das Thakur, he completely lost his soberness of love of Godhead. And so when somebody is in love with somebody, he wants to run away to that person. From material perspective, I know some devotees are right now in the process of their building grihastha ashrams, so some of them are willing to go to see their beloved ones, even they are, on the opposite side of the world. That feeling of separation and that desire to be with the love and very intense also. That's why we're making this endeavor, whether we travel to the other country or with is there. So when Narottam Das Thakur got mad with love of Godhead, that's like multiplied thousandfold, if not more, millionfold. That love of Godhead, which has no parallel even to these mundane feelings, drove him to Vrindavan, and his parents couldn't even see him, even though they put the guards, he escaped. And those guards were following him. They eventually caught him up in the forest, and he exactly said this example. Narottam Das Thakur said, but when you've fallen in love with your beloved one, your heart is fully given to that person. Nothing can stop you to that. So you're running like mad to that person. So please allow me to go to Vrindavan. So he melted the hearts of those guards. They just left him there. And so he went. But what he didn't expect, even though he had visions, Sanatana Goswami came so they were calling him. They were calling him to Vrindavan. And so he went. But when he arrived there, Rupa and Sanatana already left this planet because they were not able to tolerate the separation of love of Godhead of Godhead, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one after the other, they were leaving. Narottam Das Thakur, in a complete anxiety, of course he took shelter of Jiva Goswami, that was his own name. But whenever he went further to Jagannath Puri to see other devotees who were witnessing pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, whether it was Ramananda Roy and others, Srinivas Acharya, everybody was, Mukunda Dutt, everybody were leaving the bodies before Narottam Das Thakur could see them. So imagine this intense separation, and so his heart was tortured. But nonetheless, at some point, and that's what I'm leading to, this parallel with Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. At some point in a vision, Narottam Das Thakur had all of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates coming, one after another. They were hugging him in this dream. Each of them was bestowing the benediction that Narottam Das Thakur, we're always with you, and you will spread these glories. You will reinitiate the Sankirtan movement in this world. It's your mission, and we will be with you. So, with giving those benedictions, eventually Lokanath Goswami, his spiritual master, gave him an instruction to open 5 temples and 6 temples, 5 Krishna deities and 1 temple to install Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deities, and conduct a great festival on Agora Purnima. Because by that time, nobody could perform any Sankirtana. Everybody was just stunned with separation, and nobody could take the kartals and chant because they immediately start crying out of love. So they needed this new blood, new fresh blood that could just ignite it again, and that was by Lord Chaitanya. Remember, he was crying, Narottam, Narottam, just in one of the kirtans. He was explicitly crying his name. And so Nityananda Prabhu was perplexed. Why he's crying his name, and said, he will come, he will distribute the glories. And so we know that Srila Prabhupada beloved Srila Prabhupada was also predicted in several shastras actually, that he would come and spread this town and village, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction that my Senapati Bhakta, my general, will come and spread. So not only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted Narottam Das Thakur, and eventually he reinstated, and it was a great festival in Keturi, and in fact, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with all his associates came to that kirtan. Janama Mata also had this vision that he would come, and they would come, and everybody would see them. All the devotees would see all Mahaprabhu during that kirtan that Narottam Das Thakur led. So he revived this mood of joy and you know the holy name festival. And so Srila Prabhupada was also predicted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as you remember, like Bhaktisiddhanta, he was separated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gaurkishore Das Babaji almost at the same time. They were only a few years apart. In this Vrata, 1 billion names. And he was also in this remorse and separation, and that's why he was taking this solace in this holy name, and he was chanting and chanting and chanting. And at some point, the same thing happened. The whole Guru Parampara came to him and said, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, please, we're all with you. Start spreading. It's time. It's time to spread the teaching of Gaudiya Vaishnavism and pure chanting of the holy name. So please continue. We're all with you. So he got encouraged by, in fact, there was even this mystical story when this verse, just a piece of palm tree, that just was flying around and just ended up in this bhajan kutir. He read it, got the inspiration, like that. So in the same way, when Srila Prabhupada was weeping the floor at Radha Damodar temple, wiping the floor, and praying to Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and they came to him also several times. And one time, the most prominent, most dramatic also time was on the board of Jaladuta, when he was already executing the mission of his spiritual master. He was on the way, strokes, 2 heart attacks. And after the second one, he said, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'll be able. It seems impossible, but also, just my body is not used to these waves, this rough weather. He never stepped out of the Bharatavarsha before. And what happened that night? The whole Guru Parampara came again. They came and they gave same solace as they gave to Narottam Das Thakur, as they gave to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. They said to Srila Prabhupada, now don't worry, we'll take care of this shit with the omission of distributing the books, and we'll be with you, in other words. So we can see how this Guru Parampara, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decides for something, to spread the glories of holy name to every town and village across the globe, he has his disciples, his predicted lineage, which will carry on this particular message to the world. We can see that how they are all supported by whole Guru Parampara. So this is our Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So he's very much supported by whole Guru Parampara. And we could see. Now, second thing that I wanted to speak about is the gifts that Srila Prabhupada gave to us all. Now, whenever he came, the moment he came to USA, he saw how those modes of ignorance and how this society is in ignorance, and how it's needed all the help of Krishna and Vaishnavas and Shastra. And so, because he studied Shastra very well, he saw the Angas, although there are 64 items of devotional service listed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, for example, and Bhakti Rasamrita, but there was a point that stresses those specific 5 Angas of devotional service, which are extremely important. And so Srila Prabhupada decided that whenever, the moment he structured or started to inaugurate the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he ensured that all of those 5 angas of devotional service are immediately included in the process of practice. So the verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22, 128 sounds like this. Sadhu Sanganama Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan Mathura Vasa Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevan. One should associate with devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Shri, reside at Mathura, and worship the deity with faith and veneration. So this is very powerful. When Mahaprabhu describes this process of devotional service to Sri Sanatana Goswami. So you see, these 5 are mentioned specifically by Lord Chaitanya himself also. And even though there are 64 items, which many more are included in our process, but these 5 are included as a compulsory, as a must, as a part of what we do. This is our sadhana, actually. So first of all, the ISKCON International Society for Krishna Consciousness is designed in such a way that it gives us an opportunity to engage in devotional service, and having this sadhu sangha, or engage together. Having this sadhu sangha is the first aspect. So anyone who joins ISKCON has got this association of sadhus wherever he goes. He can travel to any country this day, and he can. So this is the first benediction. The second one is that Bhagavatam class, what we're doing right now, is included in the daily program. And, so devotees should be attending Srimad Bhagavatam every day. And if they cannot, at least they should be reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day. In this way, they can have association of a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. Now, talking about Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, the reading of the books, the studying of the books, the distribution of the books, which is a heartbeat, is our soul, it is our main, its mission, it's an essence, it pleases Srila Prabhupada, it's an instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, that is why it's pleasing Srila Prabhupada. It gives this benediction of spreading Krishna consciousness to the conditioned souls, which is of the Vaishnavas because of their compassion. So all of that we understand, but sometimes we may not understand, heard it, or may not understand it fully, that when Srila Prabhupada, apart from the first canto and a few other books that he has written, the rest of the books were dictated. They were coming from his lotus mouth. Guru Mukha Padna Vakya, Chichete Kori Akya. These words meant to purify our hearts. And now, those who were witnessing how Srila Prabhupada dictated those tapes, not only it was in the time, which was 12 to 3 o'clock in the morning. This is the time he was mainly translating. He had all these books of acharyas with him: Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Jiva Goswami, Sridhar Swami. So he had them all, and he was compiling. Now, those who were witnessing, like Harikesh Swami, for example, he was saying that what we got to hear was, let's read this verse, for example. He would say, the results of one's activities should be utilized not for sense gratification, and then look, it would be like a stop. And then what he would hear after it, but for the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It was like a pause, put a pause, and then he would press record again. So he would hear just this, and then what's happening between this was that Srila Prabhupada would think. Sometimes Harikesh Maharaj was saying that sometimes he would be thinking for 5 minutes, sometimes for even 10 minutes. Can you believe this? Sometimes those pauses were seconds, sometimes they were minutes. Thinking of how to say the ultimate truth that would bring us closer to the most relevant examples, or with the most spiritual television that Prabhupada was receiving at that time. He would record. And what's the most amazing and astonishing thing, and that's no other writer could be proud of. Everything that we read since probably second canto or third uh, is no from second was said on one time. Srila Prabhupada, at least those devotees who remember, they don't remember him correcting his recording. It was just straight once and for good. That's it. Now think about it. Usually writers write a poem or writing and then they, change something and, edit and make, add in some, anyway, trying to make it more perfect on one go. And those books are so transcendental that Srila Prabhupada would be reading those books himself also and extracting this joy. So this is our sadhu sangha also. It's not just Bhagavatam Shravanam, but it's also sadhu sangha, associating most intimately with Srila Prabhupada when nobody was associating with Srila Prabhupada. Just the acharyas, Srila Prabhupada. This is our second item of Rupa Goswami's and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to us, Bhagavatam class. Now then next one is anyone in ISKCON is actually worshipping the deity. Now worshipping the deity doesn't mean necessarily pujari work. It's mainly when it says anyone is worshipping the deity, it means attending Mangalarti. That's the time when the Gaurnitai deities are mainly worshipped by chanting, by congregational chanting. That's the method of worship. Of course, Radha Krishna, we decorate with tons of flowers, ideally. That's the aspect of the service that they prefer a lot. It's not that they don't prefer chanting, they do, but they specifically like when you decorate them, and especially with flowers. And Lord Jagannath eats 64 times a day, so service. Although that service is also for Gaurnitai, it's also a service for Radha Krishna. We do offer them bhoga, but of course not 64 times. The Gaurnitai, as far as I know, the standard is 3 times, and for Radha Krishna is 5 times, and for Jagannath, Baldev Subhadra is specifically in Puri is 64 times. So, but most importantly, that how we all participate is, of course, cleaning the temple, do various services, but most important is chanting to get pleasure, like we do now for Damodar-ashtakam and for other, for aritis we chant. So this is when we all worship in the deities. So that's anyone. And of course, next one is residing in the holy dham. Specifically mentioned Mathura, but that means Vrindavan area. Prabhupada sometimes would say 80 something hectares, right? Or miles, whatever, miles, square mile. Again, the mercy of Srila Prabhupada was such that he started to establish the temples across the world. And he said they're not different to Goloka Vrindavan. Specifically, he even said, sometimes he would say Vaikuntha, but several times in Melbourne, in USA, there were lectures when he would say, Vrindavan! It's the best phrase. This is no different to Vrindavan. And here we are. We are residing in Goloka Vrindavan right now, all of us who are in this specific Vrindavan. And this is another benediction of Srila Prabhupada that specifically in Bhaktivinoda Thakur is also saying, but also if you worship the deities at home, but you really worship them, not just they're standing there, then again, even your home is transformed to Vrindavan when you recite the Shastra there and worship the deities. So in this way, and I remember this so vividly, I remember in a very small town called Neratovice, and we went there to support one devotee, Bhakta Dan. He had 2 children, wife, and he was the only devotee in this town. The town was about 25,000 people. So we came there. This town is really like, from the Soviet area, those blocks are, those panel buildings, 10-story, 12-story buildings, looking all the same, gray, and, some of them are not even been renovated much. And so, we go inside of this, one of the entrance to the building as we were going to his flat, there's all sort of smells of alcohol and meat and, and horrible smells. And then as we were approaching this one door, you could start smelling this something that just your nose would be recognized the smell of incense burning. And when he opened this flat, it was so tiny flat. It was like, 2-bedroom apartment, was so, and this whole atmosphere there was like spiritual world. You know, there were paintings and there was altar and there was instruments and there was cleanliness, spotless cleanliness. And there was, when you came there, it was like, Hare Krishna. And then we did kirtan and katha and had prasadam. And then we went for Harinam together, you know. So we had this whole, we just 5 of us came in a car just to support him. And it was a whole transcendental experience. So we could see how Prabhupada, whoever followed him, he could transplant this Vrindavan atmosphere to these small, crazy towns like Naratovice, where everybody was just indulging, just usual Kali Yuga activities and dirt of that Kali Yugas. And then it was, the whole spiritual world unfolding in one of those flats. So wonderful. So this is the Dham, living in the Dham. And he gave this opportunity, not the last, it's mentioned second. He started with this. He started with chanting. He started with holy name in Tompin Square Park. And this is another gift that's probably one of the most powerful gifts that Srila Prabhupada brought, the holy name. Because I remember I was traveling with Guru Maharaj from Russian to Ukrainian festival, and Indradyumna Maharaj was also on a flight with us. And he had a special danda, which was carved and it was somehow, anyway, took a year to make this danda. It was a very special danda that he was carrying. And in Turkey, when we were changing the flights, the custom brokers, the customs of Turkey, they decided to take this stuff from Indradyumna Swami, considering to be like a dangerous weapon or something. This is stuff. I'm just carrying. I'm a monk, and they didn't listen. And I was before them. I passed the security just, 2 minutes before that. If I would see, I would start, try to do something about it. But anyway, when they came, I heard what happened as Maharaj, it's horrible, what they did. And he looked at me, Swami, in the eyes, and he said, they can take our holy name. So he was regretting it. It was, he was attached to it, but he gave up this attachment in minutes. And he also said what attachment we have, that could not be taken away from us. So great lesson. Yes, holy name, when we're away from the temples, and sometimes, although we try to carry them with us, and even devices we have these days, it makes it easier to have Shastra with us. We can be bereft of association of devotees, sometimes bereft of temples in someone is in a preaching mission in Arabian countries or North Korea, I don't know. Places where there's no temples, no devotees. You don't have the books, they don't allow you to get the books through. Your battery died in a phone and you don't have the Shastra available device. And so there's no deities, there's no sadhu sangha, there's no you're not in Mathura in Vrindavan. That is never taken from us, and that's what Srila Prabhupada brought, following the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions. And as he brought it, he also was an example. He was a perfect acharya, how to execute all of those 5 and more angas of devotional service. He showed he exhibited all the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. And right now there is very nice GBC SPT YouTube channel. There's a playlist you can find 26 qualities of Vaishnava. He's a perfect gentleman. And all of those disciples who have been sharing their stories to Siddhanta Prabhu over the last 4 decades, um, they collected them by those qualities. It's not like perfect collection, but nonetheless, it's a fraction of these qualities of Srila Prabhupada. Of course, there are much more stories, but they choose 6, 7, 8 stories to illustrate that quality. So it's very nice. It's a nice meditation. I love to hear Srila Prabhupada's glories from those devotees, but also it's nice to hear them in specifically by the topic, you can say, by cleanliness or equal to every. There's so many stories to share and to hear, and I really encourage you today also to maybe have your ears indulge in some of those memories of Srila Prabhupada, which is very, very nice. Sometimes they were funny, like one devotee was sharing. They were driving in a car, and there was Independence Day of America. And so Prabhupada is sitting driving the car, and all of a sudden he says, Srila Prabhupada starts to sing, I'm independent, I'm independent. It's like a little boy, you know. And so devotees were like, so funny. Actually, somebody was not even giggling, somebody was really laughing out loud. But then they would come and hear they were doing the Harinam in one of the parking lots, and there was this great fireworks because it was 200 anniversary, so it was like a massive fireworks performance. Prabhupada would look at it, and he saw that some devotees are amused by it, and Yadubar is sharing this story. And then, but Srila Prabhupada flickering on the eyeballs. It's just, Srila Prabhupada would really sometimes just cut in the hearts of devotees, whenever he saw some attachment or some impressions by this material world. And whatever we were doing here, sometimes he would appreciate the beauty, some like classical music, India, on a flight he was sharing this and making Shruta Kirti blush or Harishari, whoever that was. On to admittance, so Prabhupada was teasing them. Did you like, the music that was just played in an airplane? But sometimes he would say, the beauty that mesmerized, just a flicker on the eyeballs. So you could be very straight. So like this, and those cases of Srila Prabhupada, how he was like personal and caring, when Tamal Krishna Maharaj had this surgery and when he woke up, he said, I wanted to send you out to, America to do this surgery. I didn't want you to have it in India, but it was too late. So the moment I heard it, I ran after to be with you. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, at that time, he had this vision, that dream vision, this movement, devotees are not well versed in Shastra, their habits are not perfect at all. Those qualities, the good memory, that is the other. But the only thing they have is devotion to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes, this is true. So, just because of that devotion that we're holding on to the devotee of Srila Prabhupada, we're managing to go through despite of our anarthas, despite of our imperfections, Sometimes we don't value the society of devotees that we are in, but you think about it. Who else we can talk to about Krishna or about Srila Prabhupada and why Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God? We can just relish the pastimes. We can only do it with devotees. Yes, those devotees have their own imperfections, their own bad habits, their own characters, sometimes difficult because we inherit in not exactly the Vedic inheritance, we are Kali Yuga people, low born. But because we have this appreciation and devotion to Srila Prabhupada, that's our unity. That's our strength. That's the pillar on temples. And of course, Srila Prabhupada not just gave us Mathura in the sense of Gitanagari Dham, New Vrindavan, New Mayapur, Bhaktivedanta Manor, New Rajdham, and like that, and the temples. He also gave the literal Mathura, like Vrindavan Dham, where we have Krishna Balaram Mandir. We have Mayapur Chandradoya, Deer and TUVPs, gradually finishing up. So he gave us other dhams also, Juhu uh, and temple there in association of devotees like Madhavananda Prabhu. So he has expanded himself through his disciples and followers also, right? We have so many beautiful devotees sadhus that came, as moons in this society. Many of them have left already. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, the devotees are leaving. Gopi Paranam Prabhu, the wonderful gems of Krishna consciousness, and our leaders, our guides, our perfect examples that we have in front of us, relishing. So this is the mixed day of joy and sorrow, separation of sorrow and sorrow of separation, and at the same time, this separation actually, the mystery of the separation brings us closer to the person. At the same time, it's very difficult. The separations are difficult. However, it's the highest in bhakti. It just, it makes one person mad. Today we'll be singing Jaya Nila Pramadana Karapachur. This bhajan was written, this is the last bhajan of Narottam Das Thakur. And he wrote it in an intense separation from Ramachandra, from his great friend, and from Srinivas, his god brother, that he was studying with under Jiva Goswamis. So and they both left at the same time. So Ramachandra Khan was the disciple of Srinivas. So when he left this world, his spiritual master was not able to tolerate separation with his disciple. That's how perfect the disciple was. And so he also left Vrindavan. And Narottam Das Thakur was in Keturi. So he couldn't, when he found, and nobody would even, in separation with them, and he couldn't tolerate that because he was always with Ramachandra, preaching together and doing the Sankirtan. And this already was a separation, but when they left the world, and Ganganarayan Chakravarti, his most senior disciple and most prominent, he said it is explained that he was taking his time to get the courage to say to his spiritual master. And sure enough, when he said this, that my dear master and Lord, today, and not today, I mean, Srinivas and Ramachandra, they left the planet, and he heard his spiritual master weeping, just weeping. There's a cry coming out of his heart, and he collapsed there in his bhajan kutir. Running in jungles, weeping and weeping in separation. And then he wrote this Janila Bhajan. So imagine, there's so many in Pradhana, there's so many in Bhakti Chandrika, in those two great songbooks of Narottam Das Thakur. There's so many nice songs, including the one with Simonian, Guru Vandana. But this was the last song. Narottam, that feelings of separation, because he already, remember beginning of the class, he already experienced this intense separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Panchatattva, Mukunda Dutt, Ramananda Roy, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. He was not able to meet them in person. I mean, they did come in his visions, but he couldn't meet them. So he was in that constant separation. And now, when he found finally the soulful Vaishnavas, one of his being his disciple, his friend's disciple, so they got very close. They were like one body, one soul in two bodies. It was explained. And now they're gone. And so he written this bhajan, which is very, very deep. That's why we chant it every time. Departures of Vaishnavas. It's very deep. It's full of transcendental. So today class is longer because the deity greetings will be half past, so we still have some time. So I will be finishing in about 5 minutes, so you can also share. But I wanted to say this that the more we hear about our founder Acharya, the more strong our society will become. The more love will be evoked in our hearts, and a deep gratitude and appreciation. And the more we hear it from all of those devotees who've been encountered, that they heard and seen those different stories, because it's their personal relationship, it's imbued with love. Srila Prabhupada, we can start appreciating Srila Prabhupada more and more and more and more, because his compassion is endless, his his love to all of us is endless. And after all, we know that just because of mercy of such Vaishnavas like Srila Prabhupada, we can even get back to Godhead without being 100% Krishna conscious. Right? Remember this story? It was public when Srila Prabhupada said 100%, and then he said 90%, you can go back to Godhead. Then he saw devotees are still like looking down. 90%. And he already stood up from the assassin and was going to the door. And then he looked around, he saw that, the devotees are still like, they said Jai Prabhupada, but, they said 70%, but not less. So Jai Prabhupada, nice discount to go back to Godhead. Still means a lot of work to do, but you can see Kripa. So much is given as gift. So, and by following Mahajans, develop this Krishna conscious much easier. Prabhupada gave us these 5 angas of devotional service. If we just follow that, we can be very, very much Krishna conscious just by following this program. And the unwanted thing will gradually diminish and dissipate from our hearts. But we need to read, we need to hear, we need to chant. Without that, it's not possible. You cannot just do practical devotional service and think you. No, in fact, Srila Prabhupada said to Radhanath Swami that, not just him, but in the class also in New Vrindavan, that if you just worship the deities without studying my books, after years, after some time, you'll just think, why my spiritual master left me with this burden, right? You'll stop appreciation. You'll become familiar, you'll make offenses, mistakes, and eventually doing this. Why do you worship deity? Why you have to do this way? This it will just become a ritual. But this is a great science. It's one of the main angas of devotional service. But to understand that anga, we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, another Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, devotion, Chaitanya Charitamrita. All right. So just when I said I would like to stop here, the internet cuts. So exactly the moment. So I'd like to stop here, and if you would like to share, and that could be anything either from the verse, and I'm sorry I did not spend much time on the verse, but it's very much connected to, when you speak about Srila Prabhupada, you're very much speaking about the verse. In this to, condemning this materialistic life and glorifying transcendentalists. So please, now is the time for you to either ask questions or share pastime with Srila Prabhupada or anything else you would like to share about Srila Prabhupada or the Srimad verse. Hare Krishna. Please unmute yourself, those who would like to speak.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tarka Prabhu.
Venu-Madhurya Prabhu. I want to thank you for a really exceptional class. Very nice, very ecstatic, wonderful meditation on Srila Prabhupada. I greatly appreciate your appreciations. It's very nice to hear from someone who has invested time in meditating on these topics and appreciating. This is of course, the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada is a very solemn event, and it's an emotional event for all of us, and especially for his disciples. And his disciples are not alone in this experience. That we now have so many devotees whose spiritual masters have disappeared. And so they've also experienced that great sorrow of being separated from their own spiritual master. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. Our philosophy is that, we are, um, we've actually established a relationship with our spiritual master. There is no separation, but there, there really is. It's there is no substitute um, for having the personal association, bodily association of your spiritual master, to have the opportunity to be able to directly interact in real time, to ask a question and have it immediately answered, and um, to be able to hear and appreciate every nuance of your spiritual master's response, his facial expressions, his bodily gestures, um, and but just simply to have him present in the world and being able to approach him with um, the any of the many issues that arise in the course of um, trying to render devotional service, trying to preach, trying to push forward the movement, and facing um, sometimes new challenges and being uncertain of how to proceed, to have the benefit of your spiritual master's presence, to be able to approach him and get a definitive answer when there is some great question or a controversy, or sometimes there may be a difference of opinion between even numerous experienced and um, knowledgeable devotees. To have that personality who can settle once and for all the issue is so extremely valuable, and to lose that is just tragic. It is, and practically in our movement in ISKCON, the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada has been catastrophic for us. We've lost so much. Srila Prabhupada took pains to try to leave for us so much of him. He left so many gifts, as you mentioned, and if you try to, I have tried to enumerate the gifts in Jas Puja homages, and it was ridiculous. You go on and on and on, and have something that it would take you hours or days to read, and there's just so much that he left us. But with all that he left us, we still encounter problems and issues that we have difficulty to deal with by ourselves. And what a boon it would be to be able to just uh, approach Srila Prabhupada and have him settle the matter for us, as he once did. There was a time when, earlier in the movement, when Srila Prabhupada was present, we encountered all kinds of issues, and we could just approach Srila Prabhupada and explain the situation, and he would tell us absolutely and definitively, here's what you do. Here's what you need to do. This is your situation, and here's how you deal with it. And you're also likely to find that this and this will happen as well. So expect this, be prepared for this, and here's how you deal with it. Do this and don't do this. Now there are questions that remain unanswered, controversies that just go on, and differences of opinion. Someone thinks it should be like this. Someone else has another idea. and people, devotees, will even feel quite strongly about this or that, so strongly, in fact, that it may become a divisive issue and hurt the movement by dividing the strength of our preaching effort. And we don't find we don't find resolution to those problems. They may go on indefinitely because we just don't have the benefit of being able to directly interact with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is present by his words. He's present in the hearts of his followers and in so many ways, but devotees are trying to take guidance from Srila Prabhupada in the best ways that they can, and sometimes arriving at different conclusions. And as I say, sometimes in ways that become powerfully divisive to the movement. So it's a terrible loss and very tragic. We feel, emotionally, we feel bereft. Our greatest well-wisher and dearmost friend has left us. But the greatest tragedy is not having the benefit of his direct guidance. It's hurt our movement so much. Anyway, I thank you for your appreciations. What a personality Srila Prabhupada is. Such an amazing personality, absolutely empowered. And how blessed are we to have come in contact with him or any aspect of him directly or indirectly. Unlimited benefit, immense benefit by even the slightest contact with any aspect of Srila Prabhupada. Such a blessing. We are saved, actually. He is Savior to all of us, and just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. Srila Prabhupada has saved us all. What a debt we have. Such a debt. Unpayable. We cannot repay that debt. It is so great. So great. Srila Prabhupada took such pain, such trouble, entirely for our benefit. Srila Prabhupada did not need to do any of the things that he did. He did all of what he did for the years that he preached in the West. It was all just a labor of love and compassion. It was an ocean of compassion. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes break down in tears just to see the plight of the fallen conditioned souls. It hurt him. He felt pain to see the suffering of the fallen conditioned souls. And he had, those who spent time around him will know this about him, that he had an incredible sense of urgency for Srila Prabhupada. The matter of propagating Krishna consciousness for the benefit of the fallen conditioned souls was like a matter of life and death. It was a dire emergency. And so he worked very hard, tirelessly, sacrificing everything. And he pushed us very hard. There was no question of saying no. Everyone worked to their capacity and beyond. And it was joyous. We neglected our bodies much of the time. No time was ever wasted. There was no time wasted. I I get into these discussions not infrequently with devotees about how um, we need to change this or that, what used to work in the 1960s and 1970s does not work anymore. And I I just don't buy it, because what I see is that what we did in the early days, um, you have not had the chance to see whether it works in the present context, because we're not doing it. You can't say it doesn't work anymore. If you don't see the same results that we got then, it's because you're not doing what we used to do. And part of what we used to do was that there was never a moment wasted. Nobody was spending time surfing the internet. There was no internet. There were no cell phones. We didn't even use telephones. Communication was only by handwritten letters and telegrams. And no devotees watched television or movies or listened to the radios or, newspapers, magazines. All these things were completely out of the question. It was wall-to-wall devotional service, and hard to find sufficient time in a day for rest. I know many of my god siblings have had the same experience as I, that sometimes we had to go for days without any sleep at all, because our service required that. We worked very hard for Srila Prabhupada because we we were compelled by his sense of urgency, and out of loving sentiment for Srila Prabhupada, a desire to please him, and whatever compassion we had imbibed from him, and because it was just so joyous to know that by our efforts, Srila Prabhupada was pleased. When he expressed his gratitude for our effort, that just made our whole life complete. That was the greatest thing in the world. We would do anything. There's nothing we wouldn't do just to have that experience of pleasing Srila Prabhupada. Greatest experience in the world. Any of us would have sacrificed anything for that. And so devotees did. They performed extraordinary austerities. And so there were great results in those days. Devotees came in droves. And it may be that in some places you don't see that now, but you also don't see devotees working as they once did. The results came not easily. Those results came with tremendous expenditure of effort, blood, sweat, and tears. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada was the inspiration, the guiding force, but he inspired us in wonderful ways. Anyone that came in contact with him was just swept up by his mood and compelled. There are actually statements in Shastra that devotional service can actually be conveyed just by physical proximity of a pure devotee. Just just by being in his presence, the flow of bhakti can be stimulated and induced in anyone. And in the case of Srila Prabhupada, you didn't have to be in his physical presence. It could be quite indirect. Any coming in contact with him in any way, shape, or form through his words, his books, his recordings, and even his disciples and others who had even remote contact with him. One of the most profound experiences that I had in Krishna consciousness in the beginning of my Krishna consciousness was hearing one syllable spoken by a young lady. She was reciting Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra, which she had heard from her brother, who had become a devotee. And one day I passed her on a pathway, and I heard one syllable as she said that. And the effect, she had not personally met Srila Prabhupada. She had not seen Srila Prabhupada. She only had indirect contact through her brother. But she became captivated by the sound and the taste of Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale. I heard the word Bhutale come out of her mouth, and I was floored. In that one word, I heard a taste that I can't remember ever experiencing before, or long forgotten. Something so wonderful and so fulfilling, completely captivating and staggering. I fell on the ground in a stupor, and all I could think about was the sound in that word, and it haunted me. I meditated on it for days and weeks, couldn't get it out of my head. And still to this day, it's only expanded, it's only increased. My first contacts with Srila Prabhupada were indirect through his disciples, and the effect was incredible, just astounding. My life was completely transformed. Immediately, instantly. First contact was I just heard the sound of kartals, some devotees on the opposite side of the street having kirtan in Santa Barbara on the West Coast. Completely transformed me immediately. In that moment, I became a completely different person. My whole sense of values changed. Everything changed. The whole material world became tasteless, and I became desperate to understand the absolute truth just by hearing kartals. But it was Srila Prabhupada's, just a reflection of Srila Prabhupada's vibration. Devotees carried Srila Prabhupada's vibration in their own hearts, and they spread it everywhere. Srila Prabhupada was present by his words, by his influence in all kinds of extraordinary ways, and transformed hearts everywhere. Amazing influence, incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. Such a loss not to have his physical presence. Thank God we have his Vani, so much of his Vani. As Srila Prabhupada understood from the very beginning, as soon as he arrives, he immediately began making audio recordings. The introduction to Bhagavad Gita as it is a transcription of one of Srila Prabhupada's first recordings of a class that he gave at 26 Second Avenue. He made a point of, he tried at least to record every time he spoke publicly. And actually, unfortunately, Srila Prabhupada was always speaking, and the vast majority of it was not recorded. Oftentimes because there wasn't tape enough available, and it was expensive, and there wasn't money to purchase more tape. But Srila Prabhupada spoke constantly, all day, every day. So much of that was never recorded. It exists only in the memory of those who were present to hear. But fortunately, so much was recorded on tape and in written words. But we also have Srila Prabhupada's disciples and followers who have wonderful recollections. And so we can hear from them, and sometimes the experience is sweetened, becomes even sweeter, having been relished, digested by various individuals, and then repeated in the most wonderful ways. I encourage everyone to hear Srila Prabhupada's disciples' memories. There are so many wonderful recordings, and they are immensely valuable. Anyway, I've taken a lot of time. I had a lot of thoughts about this verse and purport, but I don't know. Srila Prabhupada himself overshadows all of these things. I'm happy to hear about and talk about Srila Prabhupada. I have hogged
Yes,
the time again. I apologize. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Person Bhagavata. Jai. Thank you, Tarka Prabhu. It was very nice. I really enjoyed hearing, as I always do, what you have to contribute. In fact, you should be giving class today, not me. But those contributions are very valuable also. It reminded me that another memory of Harikesh Swami, he was saying that at one point we thought, we need to give more time for Srila Prabhupada to play his books and just to focus on that service. And, there are so many guests coming. There was Bombay or somewhere. And Srila Prabhupada decided to make an experiment. So he told him, okay, so I'll go translate. And you, instead of me, sit here and, greet the guests and speak to them. So he said, but what do I do? Well, you say that instead of Swami Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada, it's me here to answer your questions today. So he put him there with Brahmachari at the time. The guest, and he went to translate for a couple of hours. And so those guests were coming in and they were asking me, where's Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada? I said, well, he's not available right now, but I'm here to, answer your questions. He was just saying what Prabhupada told him to say. And so they were standing up and leaving. And I was repeating. And so after a few hours, Srila Prabhupada went out and said, so how did it go? He said, well, Prabhupada, they don't want to talk to me. And that's why it's irresolvable. And so because Srila Prabhupada was always giving his time to everyone and anybody who wanted to see him, that's how compassionate he was. That's the only time left for him to translate the books, is to diminish his sleep and do it at night. And it was only a certain amount of time he could spend doing that. Last moment, already on his bed in Vrindavan, he was still translating a clear, crystal clear purports, Bhaktivedanta, the purports. That's amazing. Of course, at that time, Pradyumna, he was already quite knowledgeable in Sanskrit, so he did all the work prior to Prabhupada dictating the purport. That means he did all the synonyms himself already and translated the verse, and so he only said the verse and then Prabhupada dictated the purport, just to save time to get as many purposes as possible. That was his work in those days. So, but as Tarka Prabhu said, this is, Srila Prabhupada, we never will be able to dig down deep to the bottom of Srila Prabhupada's character and personality and the impact he made. It's an amazing impact, not just for devotees, 2 years ago, there was one couple that came to Gitanagari, and Prabhu looked kind of elderly. So I asked him, you Prabhupada disciple, you've been here before? And he said, no, but I said, but I was in a hippie movement, and once I encountered Srila Prabhupada. I said, really? And how was it for you? And so he said, yeah, I don't remember what city he said, but he came to somewhere, and Prabhupada was sitting out of the building. And so as he went out, all the devotees bowed down. So he saw this like effulgent person, and he felt, he's so big and effulgent, and so he also bowed down. Although he was not because everybody was bowed down. He felt this. It was like almost something pushing him. So he bowed down to Prabhupada once in his life, and that's the only time he saw him. And he explained this experience to me that it was so powerful. He spent some time with devotees though. After that, he went to he hijacked with some devotees to California. Some service, they washed the dishes. So he spent some time with devotees. That's why he knew about those places, including Gitanagari. But he never joined, he never got initiated, nothing. But still, can you believe that this experience, because he has it, now he's married, he's not hippie anymore, but he came just to kind of, he was in a temple, paying obeisances, praying to Prabhupada. So just that one experience, kept him going for decades, kind of starting. Now I asked him, do you like chant or read? And he said that he now reads Prabhupada's books or something. That, some transformation over the decades took place in just that one experience and few more weeks of association with devotees. That he still wants to see deities, Prabhupada, read, chant. That's very interesting. Extraordinary personality. Came to Prabhupada to challenge him. He has those 3 sets that what is the bona fide guru. He made them up, and one of them was seen the future, and others I don't remember now. But Prabhupada, without saying a word, and Prabhupada was just in a meeting with disciples, and he came in, and just when he came in, Prabhupada just chastising those particular points that he had in his mind to debate with Srila Prabhupada, and cut down those first 2. The third one was that left to him. It was like, but he's not predicting the future. And so Srila Prabhupada said, Shrutikirti, please bring me the 12th canto manuscript. So he brought in the Sanskrit and he started reading the predictions about Kali Yuga, how bad it would be. And it was completely nailed Madhubhuti, future Madhubhuti. And so he went out driving home feeling like complete, he never lost a fight in his philosophical debates and challenges, whoever he faced before. And this time he was defeated without even saying a word. He didn't even say one word. Prabhupada just defeated him. And so the next day he brought $1,000 check to Srila Prabhupada, gave it to Shauri, somebody who was the servant. And he said, oh, this is such an amount. Maybe I just, just give it to him. I don't want to, I had enough yesterday. So he gave the check, he came back and said, Prabhupada said that you understood. So that was his beginning. That was his first meeting. So everybody had different first meeting with Srila Prabhupada, but nonetheless, whatever the meeting was, it transformed the lives of those devotees. And even see, like with this gentleman, but while Srila Prabhupada was on the planet, still this taste is hankering him like a ghost, he cannot This higher taste is always with him. And so, surely one day enough, if not already, he is a devotee. He is a devotee. I mean, it will just take time. So, yes, Sharka Prabhu, even one count, like anything with Srila Prabhupada, like this stewardess, right, who took Mahaprasadam from that he gave to the Kirti. And she took it like a stewardess. She took it out of the plane. So good. And then she became a devotee. Some devotees met her like a decade later in jungles of Brazil or somewhere, and she was practicing full time. So amazing. All right, so we have to stop here. Either DT greetings or find out where are we at. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Chirabhav Mahotsava ki jai. All glories. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Jagannath Pandit Prabhu, for the treat. So DT greetings first. Anyway. Jai Sri Radha Damodar ki jai.